So let's jump right in and start talking with about how we start with the basics and create a basic value proposition, and it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
perfect. AJ, for our, I almost and I was going to ask you this. I almost translate this into a minimum viable product. Is that really what you're talking about here?
Mm-hmm.
So why
Yes,
don't you,
yes.
yeah, why
Minimum
don't you give
viable.
our audience a, why don't you give our audience a background? Because I know before I heard the concept of a minimum viable product, I had seen it in many different ways. Once I heard the concept, I realized I had seen it all over the place. But for those people who don't know, why don't you give them an overview and a background about what we're really talking about as far as a minimum viable product or the basics here?
Yeah. I'll give you the best thing is to give the example, right?
Yes.
Uh, when I started my business as a digital marketing, at that time, strategist more than anything else. So for me, I had to create. So I figured out what are the component of strategy, right? Which meant that I did research. I even wrote a book, to start with because I did. And once I understood what it is, and then I could understand that I could see that part of the component is designing website. Like I said, when I started, I was not doing marketing. I was just doing strategy and the design. So I just hired two people in India, and I do have a development team in India now, which is over 100 people. For development and marketing. So I hired a couple of people because I don't know how to do it and I don't want to learn. Okay, I'm good at strategy, I'm good at marketing, and so once I had that, then I started to market it to the customers. Now I was lucky enough that I had that kind of background so that I had some credibility when I went and talked to them. But very quickly I got a couple of customers, and I totally underbid my services because I wanted to close it, right? And once I had those customers, and then you don't worry about making profit. So that was not my focus, that I have to make profit on my first two customers. So I had a big focus on how do I give them the best value and keep them happy, and the results.
And let me
Took me like 2 months.
Yeah, and let me interrupt for a
Yeah.
second just to make sure. So what you're really saying is that when you're starting with the basics, you start with something that people need, something that people want, and then once you
Mhm.
get some people in your pipeline, you
Yeah.
it before you even start adding and before you start making it better, you worry about giving them incredible customer service, taking care of their
That
needs, and start to cultivate the you start to cultivate them and start to slowly turn them from just
100%. And I will tell you from my experience also, great customer service will overcome a lot of mistakes in the beginning. Your customers are, it's so long, they know that you really care about them, and you are there for them. They will tolerate a, I mean, I am, I made mistakes, obviously, just like most of the entrepreneurs in the beginning. And the only reason that I was saved, to be very honest, is, of course, my intent was always there so that my customers could see that I'm really trying, right? And then the second piece was that I was always there for them. And even today, when I talk to a new customer, yesterday I was talking to literally, actually, a $1 billion company that came to us for potentially doing the marketing, and they were asking about some mistakes, and I told them that, listen, I cannot promise you that we will never make any mistake because I've been there, done that, so I won't be misrepresenting. But I can tell you one thing: if a mistake happens, we are here to fix it. And this is the vice chairman of a $1 billion company, and you know what he said? I totally understand. This is what I wanted to know, because if you had told me that you never make a mistake, I would have probably walked out anyway because that means you are not real.
well,
So that you are very right. The customer service is so important because it's your customer who will help you hone the product and make it perfect.
Yeah, yeah, and we're going to talk about how they'll do that in a second when we start talking about adding products and services. But for right now, we'll stick with the basics. And the interesting part is during this whole basic function, you've hit on I think one of the other big keys, which is honesty. So many people when they're creating a basic product or a basic service are scared to be honest because they think it's going to drive people away. Um,
Yeah.
it's obvious from your answer that you believe honesty is the best policy because you have to take the chance that they're going to drive people away. But let me ask you this just off the cuff question: if you had the choice between somebody between this $1 billion, well, actually, you did just do it. So I guess you actually answered the question, but I'll ask it for you anyway so people can hear it. So if you had the choice between $1 billion company just leaving and you being, or sticking around and you being dishonest, or leaving because you're honest, which would you choose? I said that a little sarcastically, but you know what I'm trying to say. The fact of the matter is that you obviously have done it in this time. But let me ask you this. Actually, let me ask you a more important question. Sometimes for people, even great people, honesty is difficult because they're scared. What do you go
Mhm.
through, or what's your thought process when somebody asks you a question that you know that if you give them an honest answer, they might not like it. What advice would you have for our viewers in that particular case?
You know, I have lost potential clients because of being honest, because they walk in and they want to hear a certain answer, and if we don't think that it is it's feasible, we say no. I mean, we have lost quite a few customers because when they say, well, I had someone who said, you are telling me that you are not 100% sure. I'm like, this is marketing. We have to try and we have to keep, we think that, and I give them my example. It's like, hey, just go and check this company that is doing 7 figures that I built using the same technique. So I'm not telling you that the technique doesn't work. I'm not confident about that. But the result, we may have to tweak. So this is marketing, and I always tell them, listen, in my previous world when I was managing $60-70 million marketing budget, we have launched some major campaign that failed, and it's not like we were planning to fail. So that is how it is. And then I have had some people walked away saying, well, I want a company that's very sure of their results, and I am like, okay, I'm telling you, what's the potential. I'm telling you what I will do, and I'm telling you that we expect to get that result. But if you ask me for a guarantee, that is kind of dumb. I mean, I cannot do that. So yes, we have lost customers, potential customers, because of being honest. But I think that it's quoting disaster to promise anything to get a customer, because generally speaking, those things always lead to unhappy customers. I mean, I know that. Setting the right expectations is very important in the beginning.
And that is so key. And what I want our viewers to really hone in on is this isn't a guy sitting in a back room somewhere making $500 a week, running an internet marketing campaign. AJ has created 2 7-figure businesses, and he's done that being honest and telling people, look, this is the way it is. So if somebody who's created 7-figure businesses can do it, you can do it as well as a coach in your business, because honesty, is always the best policy. So let's talk a little more about current customers. So we had the basics. In the first part, we talked about the basics. Get that minimum viable product and then give epic customer service. Now, as you've done that, you're going to start to add products, services, maybe features. It might just be a small thing about adding a new feature into a current product or service to be more attractive to your current customers. So AJ, for your businesses, how did you go about doing that? Where did you start when looking at adding products or services or features into your current offerings for your current customers? Where did you start with that?
To watch the rest of this epic episode now, click on the link below the video. Do it now, you'll be glad you did. Are you still here? What are you waiting for? Watch the rest of this epic episode now by clicking on the link below the video.